Atari has seen their fair share of highs and lows, from the video computer system or 2600 among other things raising their stock in the industry, to the 5200 Super System and the 1983 crash leading them to their overall decline. Most would have believed that Atari was out for good, but they still had something up their sleeve. In 1984, Atari would announce a successor to the 2600, and to a latter extent the 5200, to come out in May, but that was halted when Atari was sold by parent company Warner Communications to Jack Tramiel, founder of Commodore. After 2 years and a sudden resurgence in the gaming industry, somebody decided to dust off the already made units and put them on the market, entering Atari in the third generation of gaming. It's the Atari 7800. What better way to market your third system by taking the name of your first system and multiplying it by 3? Wonder if it took people long to figure that out. It also has the subname in the Pro System, so you know exactly who this system is made for. The Atari 7800 was officially released in May of 1986 as the next best offering from the original gaming giant. You probably couldn't tell by looking at my box. It doesn't look the best, but that can happen. When you think it's a sweet deal despite a shiny box, why not? At least you can still see you're getting a free game cartridge, though I would argue it should be something other than pole position 2. The sides of the box don't look a whole lot better, but you're still able to notice the small info like the serial number or other information related to the system, like being able to play the 2600 library. The back goes into their games in detail, from the arcade classics you can find on other systems, but here they're better, to the quote super games that have better ROM carts that could potentially show off the true capabilities of the Pro System. We'll look at more gameplay in a while. For now, we'll take a closer look at the 7800 itself. This is the Pro System, complete with a sleek design and signature rainbow line across the silver part where the logos lie. Usually I wouldn't mind the open cartridge slot because Atari has a neat way to cover both their games' pins as well as the console pins so they never get dirty, but I think they abandoned it by this point when I look inside, so that's unfortunate. Below is your reset, select, pause, and power buttons. No difficulty switches or buttons. How does that work for 2600 games? I spoke too soon, as for whatever reason the difficulty switches are placed where the controller ports are, which kinda makes sense as they're sometimes used to adjust the difficulty for each player. On the back we have your hookup situation where you can plug in your AC power, which is specific, and the RF connector, which is usually hardwired inside the system itself, so that's a nice relief. Still, it's surprising they didn't make the switch from RF to RCA cables. Still got the channel 3, channel 4 switch, or in this case, circle and square, if you can see the labeling. On the bottom, there's not much to look at. You got screws, vents, and foot pads that make up most of this interestingly designed area. The only noteworthy thing here is this sticker that has FCC information, patent info, Taiwanese origin, the serial number, and of course Atari's name plastered around. I find it funny there's an Atari logo placed next to the same logo on the sticker. It's like they're not selling their name brand hard enough that you gotta have one logo for each of your eyes. That covers everything involving the 7800, so let's plug in the Pro System, get a cartridge, and a controller that I'll be sure to cover in a future AC review, and see what this system is all about. The library for what it has is cool. You have some decent ports of games like Food Fight and Galaga, and those that even taunt the competition licensing-wise by having ports of some Nintendo arcade games. I don't have any super games to show off, I don't think, but I have some other exclusives that look good. I could also say the backwards compatibility is great. Just be sure to have a 2600 joystick with you, as you might prefer that over the 7800's controller. But it'll depend on the person. The Atari 7800 was undoubtedly a better system from what came before, but that didn't translate well when taking on new competitors. Most people will associate the resurgence of gaming with the NES and maybe the Master System. Barely anybody will remember the Prosystem when it was new, even when it was out before being axed in '92. But if you so happen to find one of these in decent condition and for a decent price, you should get one to experience what those Atari pros already know, that this is 3 times as better than anything Atari made previously. Or if anything, you can use it as your 2600 that can cover that library as well as build a new one. It's the Atari 7800. It's funny what happens to companies after big events force them to change their structure. It's even more interesting to see what companies do when they're first starting out in the industry. Take Nintendo for instance, when they were just starting to bring their first batch of Game & Watches to the US. They didn't have the resources to distribute the games themselves, so instead, they found someone else. And on the next episode, we'll take a look at what toy company Mego did with Nintendo's first Game & Watch by telling people to take a time out. If you think I missed anything, please leave a comment. If you like what you see, leave a like. If you think others could get knowledge out of this, share this video. And if you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. Now if you'll excuse me, nostalgia is calling.